everyone, Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Prophet's diet and specifically, what he used to eat, how he used to eat, and what we as modern day Muslims can learn from him and the way he used to eat. So the Prophet used to be an ascetic, meaning he was somebody who was not attached to worldly matters. And the way that he used to eat would reflect that. It would reflect his detachment from things in this life. He would only ever eat twice a day, if that. Sometimes he would eat less than that. And his meals would be very small. He would only ever eat 9 bites per meal at most. And there are different sayings on that. He may have eaten less than that, and he often did eat less than that, but only 9 bites. And if you've ever tried eating only 9 bites, it's a very, very small amount. So it's not portion sizes that we're used to nowadays. And he wouldn't let himself get full. So that feeling that we often get by the end of meals where you have a little stomach ache, he would never let himself get to that point. He used to eat simple foods. So like not things that were extravagant. He didn't eat a lot of variations of different foods. He would just eat certain foods and his meals would be very simple. A few ingredients, nothing extravagant. And he also didn't really eat luxurious foods either. Some of the things that he used to eat was barley bread and olive oil, or barley bread and vinegar together. So like putting the vinegar or the olive oil on the bread. So that would be a meal, for example. He used to eat dates. He used to also like to eat pumpkin. And some of the things he used to drink were camel milk and honey water. So just adding some honey into water to make it a bit sweet. And he did used to eat meat, but only on occasion, very, very rarely. It was not frequent. I don't know exactly how frequently he used to eat it, but it was not the way that people often do nowadays, like multiple times a week. They're having meat, like chicken and beef and all that stuff. It wasn't like that at all. It was very rare. So I think after explaining, some of the specifics of the foods that he used to eat, like, of course, we as Muslims can look at the way he ate and think, okay, well, that's the best way to eat because he is the best example. But I think Muslims nowadays, and I'm not leaving myself out of this conversation, I'm not talking about them, like a lot of the Muslims are doing this and I'm not doing it. I'm included in this. So I think a lot of Muslims nowadays have strayed very far away from, the eating habits of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like if you ever tried to consume only 9 bites per meal and only eat twice a day, it's not an easy task. It takes a lot of self-restraint and a lot of practice to get used to that kind of an eating lifestyle. And something in particular that I've noticed amongst a lot of Muslims, that there's a strong attachment to meat in particular. And as I talked about, the Prophet ﷺ didn't used to eat it frequently. And I don't know why this attachment to meat exists. I think maybe it's just cultural. In a lot of cultures, meat is a big part of their cuisine. I think something that we can remind ourselves, especially in America, or in a Western country where halal meat is not, always easily accessible. Something we can remind ourselves is that we don't need to eat meat on a regular basis to be healthy humans. And, doctors will tell you this, and the Prophet ﷺ was an example of this, that eating meat in order to get your nutrients, in order to get, all the things that you need, is not a necessity, at least not eating it frequently. It's not something that is good for you to overindulge in, and it's also not something that we should let our hearts get attached to. And we also know from modern day research that we can get the nutrients that we need, like the protein that we need and the iron that we need, from plant-based sources. We don't need to get it from meat. We don't have to be eating meat all the time. And also another thing that I've noticed that I want to mention in this video because it relates to halal meat is that sometimes the Muslims will use not having access to halal meat, like in a grocery store or something, for example, as an excuse to then buy and eat non-halal meat. Because they're like, oh, well, I can't find halal meat, so I'll just get this non-halal meat, it's fine. And something that I want to stress in this video is that it's not fine. It's not an excuse if you can't find, halal meat to then go and eat non-halal meat. It's not a religious excuse, and a person would be sinful for buying and eating that. I want to include this in this video because the Prophet himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, didn't even eat meat very frequently. So we know that having meat on a regular basis is not a necessity. So if you go to a grocery store and you can't find halal meat, and so for this week you're not going to have any meat, you'll be okay. Like nutritionally you'll be okay, and like mentally you'll be okay. You'll be getting everything that you need without eating meat. I think a lot of Muslims, myself included, would do themselves a lot of good to try to actively detach themselves from eating meat, from overindulging, from eating a lot of luxurious foods, because then it's the best for us. It makes us less attached to things in this life. And also it teaches us we don't need to commit a sin. At least for me, when I look at the diet of the Prophet, that for me is a large takeaway. I think it would do us all good to like maybe have like days, for example, like a day of the week or something like that, or like a day of the month where they try practicing a more simple way of eating, like following the way of the Prophet. And I think something that I might want to do in a video, and I think I will inshallah, but comment down below if you would like me to do this in a video, is like film what I eat in a day following the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I think I might do that because I know my dad used to bake barley bread and I actually really like it a lot. And it's very, if you've ever eaten barley bread, it's very like hearty bread. It has a lot of protein in it. It has a lot of like good nutrients. So I might ask my dad to bake some barley bread and then try having meals like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to, 2 a day, 9 bites each, bread with olive oil, bread with vinegar, that kind of a thing. Let me know what you think about that idea in the comments. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative and kind of inspired you to second guess the way you eat, think a little bit more critically about the way that we're eating. I think that would do all of us good, like I said, myself included. But don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I put new videos out every Tuesday and I will see you guys next week inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Bye. سلام الله على الهادي رسول الله